Hey everybody, what's going on? Clint and T here. We got a chance to go see Sausage Party a little early, and you know what? It's kind of a blast.
It's a pretty good time.
Yeah.
Here's the deal though. This is an experience that was new to both of us. We've both been to a fair number of screenings in our day, you know, quite a handful. And this is the first time that prior to the screening, the studio's like, by the way, there's gonna be a happy hour on us. Yeah. So they basically, since they weren't allowed to hand out jazz cigarettes to us, they got us liquored up in preparation of this movie. Right. And I would say after Two Tall Boys, I was just turned up and up to be ready to watch a movie called Sausage Party.
They know what their movie is, and they know the best way to watch it, and that way to watch it is 2 beers in. I don't know if stone cold sober I would have had the same amount of fun, because you know, it was just a couple of beers, so it's not like I was like stumbling into the theater or anything. No. Man, I mean, it was a good time. It was. So Sausage Party, of course, is the R-rated animated movie that has been in the works for quite some time. Seth Rogen has had this movie in the works for years.
The entire premise of like why he wanted to make this movie was he wanted to do a Pixar-style animation movie that had the F word in it all over the place. And he accomplished that. Now the interesting thing about Sausage Party is that there is never actually a sausage party in the movie. The name of the movie existed before the movie did. Basically, you know, people would ask him and Evan Goldberg, his partner, hey, what's your next project, you guys? And they jokingly say Sausage Party because that's what people would expect them to make. So they came up with that name, and then eventually they kept making the joke, and then the movie was like reverse engineered around the title. It kind of doesn't even make sense in the movie since, again, there isn't actually a sausage party in the movie. Right,
there are sausages, and obviously the main character is a hot dog, and his buddies are hot dogs, and so it makes sense, but it doesn't have anything to do with the story. So the story itself is sort of it's the secret life of the food in the grocery store, right? So they're all sentient, they're all alive, they talk to each other, they have relationships, and then they think that once they get out of the store, it's like they call it the great beyond.
Being chosen. Being
chosen by us humans.
Who they call gods.
Right, and that's where the movie actually surprised me, is there's a point to this. The whole thing is this crazy social and religious allegory. It actually had a point, and I don't want to get too far into the point and how they express that point, because go see the movie and it's crazy, but like I think the movie gets more credit than I initially thought it deserved.
Yeah, I think that this is definitely a lot more charged with sort of societal and religious issues than I expected. I thought it was going to be very, very crude. When Seth Rogen was on Howard Stern probably 2 or 3 years ago, he goes on there at least twice a year, but he was on there quite some time ago, and he talked about doing this like hard R Pixar animated comedy. And I was just like, that sounds like something I'm on board with. And then when I saw the trailer, I have to say I became less excited. I was just like, oh, this seems like really like juvenile and lazy in terms of the jokes. But I'm happy to say after seeing it, while I still do agree, the target audience probably is like 14-year-old junior high school stoners, kind of.
There's going to be a lot of kids that learn how to cuss because of this movie.
I feel like this is the South Park bigger, longer, and uncut for the next generation. Like this is really for kids in junior high school and high school with that sort of kind of sense of humor, you know? But I still managed to get some really good belly laughs in there for myself. So that was a nice surprise.
There's obviously no shortage of very juvenile, very ridiculous, very raunchy humor. All of the most foul humor and language and content that you can imagine. But like, there's a smartness and a cleverness underneath all of it that makes it a lot more worthwhile than I was expecting. I was expecting it to be in the neighborhood of the hot tub time machines of the world.
I almost wish that this was more in that vein. I feel like they were sort of towing the line between being that and trying to make these social commentaries. And I feel like the social commentaries were when it slowed down, because these commentaries aren't really done in any particularly like elegant or insightful way. It's just sort of like, hey, isn't this thing f***ed up that humans do? And I'm like, well, yeah, but you're not really adding anything new to this conversation, except now you're making it allegorical through food.
I do think that one of the knocks against the movie will inevitably be how insensitive it is with the racial and you know, global sort of stereotypes. Like, you know, the ethnicity of the taco and the tequila.
Yeah, Salma Hayek voices the taco.
Yeah, and then there's you know, a bagel and a lavash that are, you know, of course at odds, and they're very broad strokes sort of stereotypes of these people. And I think to not be generous at all in the reaction to that sort of broad strokes painting of these stereotypes is, it's like, no, we're being so silly and it's so ridiculous because the whole thing is so ridiculous, and that's why it's all ridiculous, and we're not being insensitive or anything like that. We're making the point. You can buy into that or you can not buy into that. Ultimately, I bought into the fact that what they were doing was so outrageous and so ridiculous that you can't be offended by it. It's stupid, and it's utterly juvenile, stupid humor, but there's just enough cleverness to how they do it that it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I was very happy to see that the trailer does not give away the best jokes, which is often a symptom of comedy movies. You feel like they've blown all the best jokes, and you go in there and like everything else is just like, okay, that's not nearly as good as what I saw in the trailer. In this one, I would say it's the opposite. The humor is better than what I expected based on the trailer. So to recap, I would recommend maybe having a couple beers, or if you have your weed card, indulging in that before seeing this. But even without it, I would say it's a pretty good time, especially if you're a 14-year-old boy.
All right, everybody, that's what we think about Sausage Party. Let us know what you think about it down in the comments below. Make sure to click like and subscribe. Stick around CineFix for more movie stuff. Also, let us know your favorite scene in a movie that's a food-related sex act. Is it all 9.5 weeks?
Is it all American Pie?
It's probably all American Pie. Let us know what it is down in the comments. Click like, subscribe. We'll see you next time here on CineFix.